Well, hi, I'm Matt Coyle,
I'm Yin Coyle.
and today we're here to talk about real estate. And we're lucky to have guest Enis Shehu. Enis is a real estate investor entrepreneur in Massachusetts. How you doing, Enis?
Hey guys, I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Hey, thanks for joining us today. Looking forward to learning more about real estate investing.
No, thank you. I'm happy. I'm really gonna enjoy this.
Good, good, good. Hey, so maybe Enis, just why don't you tell our listeners, what you do, a little about yourself, and what areas of real estate
Yeah,
you specialize in.
yeah, absolutely. So we do real estate investing. Mostly it's fix and flip of single family homes, but also invest in multifamily property. So rentals anywhere from 3 to 6 units has been mostly what we've been going after. Um, and then we're getting into new development as far as new construction in the city of Boston, primarily in like Roxbury and Dorchester neighborhoods. So yeah, that's what we do. We're full-time investors, and
So,
currently we're out of Framingham.
just for the average person out there, how'd you get into doing flipping? I mean, that's seems
Yeah,
I see it on TV and these TV shows,
HGTV.
but it can't be that
HGTV
easy
show.
as they make it out to be.
They
So,
they make it really easy. Yeah, that's something I love. And I enjoy. It's entertaining. It's great actually to look at those shows. It's nice, but real life is so much different. So no, so we started actually. My brother started investing in 2013. At that point, I was living. I was outside the country. I got married in 2012. So for a couple of years, um, I went back to Albania, where I'm from, and spent some time there with my wife. But he invested in 2013, and when I got back, he said, "Hey, real estate, that's something we always talked about. We owned a restaurant in the past, me and him, out of college, and we looked into real estate back in '08. We just didn't feel like we knew enough, so we never took the jump, right? And like I remember going in '08 and '09 in Dorchester with him, looking at three-family homes, and they were selling for $200,000, $150,000, right? And they needed work. And to us, that was like a lot of money. We didn't know where to start, right? And so we never really pulled the trigger. But in 2013, he finally made the decision. He bought a six-family rental in Worcester. And, I think he was cash flowing about $2,500 a month. And he was like, hey, this is great, And so when I came to the country, I was looking for a sales job. And I looked at what they were offering me, and he was like, you know what? Take a break for 6 months and let's start this, business together, because I think we can do well. So we're going after rental properties at that point. But to answer your question, so we bought that first one. In order to buy the second one, I think we're looking for 20 or 25% down payment. And so we're looking somewhere around $50,000 to put down, and we didn't have that money saved. So that's why flipping came into mind, right? Like flipping is a way to generate, for us, it's a way to generate income to put into rental properties. So that's why we got into flipping.
oh, good, good, good. Well, I guess you're probably pretty happy that you're not in the restaurant business right now,
Oh my
right?
God, absolutely. Oh yeah, 100%. Look, it was a great, it was a great business. Yeah, yeah, it was a great experience for us, but long hours, 7 days a week. I got married and my wife was like, no, you can't have both. You have to choose. So yeah, we sold the restaurant, and then, we moved on.
So Enis, how did you fund your first deal? Is that you brought the cash to the country, or did you borrow from the bank, or how did you start?
Yeah. So first of all, we found it through direct mail campaign. The first property we bought was in Wayland. It's the single family home, split ranch house. I think we bought it for $300,000. And the guy was older. He lived in Florida. He got our letter and he called me. I never met him, but he said the house is vacant, which you could tell because the landscape was overgrown and all that. But it was a nice house on Concord Street in Wayland. And so we overpaid for it, being our first deal. We just didn't know how to run the numbers. And he was older. Obviously, he knew what he was doing, and he wanted the most for the property. And we weren't good at negotiating back then. We didn't know the numbers. So, but it was a great learning experience. I think the way we finance it though is we work with a bank. I think it was a home field credit union. Back then it was called Grafton Credit Union, which was the same bank that we used on that 6-family property. So we used that relationship, and he was asking for 20% down, which we borrowed from family. I think we came to the table with about $70,000. But the bank financed 80% of it and 100% of construction.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Did you have to pay a higher rate than you would if you were, a normal house
Good
buyer?
question. Yeah, I think it was a commercial rate, so I think probably like around 550 or something like that. I don't remember, to be honest, but it was a little bit more than if it was a rental property. Yeah.
So
And also the fact that it was a quick turnaround, right? They knew that we would probably keep this house for only a year, so they had to make their money, their interest in 1 year instead of 15 or 30-year loan. So
the $1 million question is, did you make a profit?
I think when we looked at the numbers, what was mostly break even. We might have lost a little bit of money, but nothing to really, we didn't suffer from that. I listed the property, so I made a little bit on commission. I think we were underwater like $12,000, but I made $10,000 in commission, so it was almost a wash. Amazing learning experience though. So I'm happy, that we didn't lose more than that. I hired a GC that, did a lot of things wrong. I overspent when it came to renovations. I overpaid when we bought it. So
the first one always tough. We learned the town, and it was a great experience. But
yeah, well, I wouldn't say a great experience, but it was an experience, and certainly what we learned from. But what I would say is, I think the hardest part I thought was being able to value the renovation
ARV.
after renovation value,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's huge, right? Like, what are you going to renovate for 100,000, or are you going to it's going to cost you 200,000, right? If you don't know those numbers, I mean, how are you going to be able to calculate your profit? So that's definitely extremely important. And then obviously understanding how much it's going to sell for. Luckily we undervalued that when we bought. We just didn't know better. It sold more than, I think we sold it for 660, and we were hoping for like 630 or 640. So that was good for us, but that was pure luck. That wasn't us predicting it. It's just that's what the market did. But a good flipper, someone that's in this business, they are good at figuring out their exit number, the sale price. By $5,000, I mean, you should be close to it. Yeah, that's a skill that we have developed, and that's super important.
So when you go to a house, you look at the potential there, and what the benefit of a renovation will have on the ultimate market value. How do you value the level of repairs though? I mean, do you have a construction background or a contractor's background?
I don't know. It's just but the experience now, right? So we've been doing it for 6 years. So with every property, you learn, one or two things. So, and that builds up, obviously, after doing more than 100 jobs, 100 projects now, you learn from all of them. I did about 2 years ago, though, I did become a general contractor. So obviously I learned going through the books and all that stuff, but that's not, what I graduated, or I never actually worked as a GC before. So we do a walkthrough. So first, we submit an offer to somebody, but typically, we can value, we can come up with a scope of work or budget just by looking at the property, taking photos of it. And we can determine, is it going to be a full gut rehab where we're just changing everything? Or if it's going to be a lighter cosmetics, and that's going to depend on what the market is doing, number one, where the house is located, right? Certain properties, if they're in Boston, probably you want to do a full gut rehab, right? If you want to maximize the sale price. But if you are somewhere in the suburbs, and you just got to look around and see what others are selling for and what type of product is out there,
Right.
You don't want to do a full gut rehab where you could just get away with the lighter cosmetics and still make the same amount of money. So there's a fine line there, you know. Yeah, so, you know, I don't know if I answered your question, but yeah, so we do a walkthrough first and then we make a decision.
Do you have a group of reliable contractors you can use?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's the most important part. Yeah. Yeah. So that's something we look for on a daily basis though. You know, so 3 things I have to do on a daily basis is look for leads, raise capital, and find contractors. That's, you know, those 3 things are definitely on my mind every day. The guys that we work with are great, but again, they might get busy. Something happens. You want to have a nice group of contractors you can rely on.
How many contractors do you have right now that works with you?
So we have about 3 groups of guys, you know, that we constantly work with. But when it comes to, so it all depends. It all depends. Like for tile guy, we have a couple tile guys that we can go to. Electricians, we have one company that pretty much we're giving them everything just because they're reliable. We have a lot of other contacts when it comes to electricians, but we just don't feel like we need them right now. So it all depends. Plumbers, we're changing plumbers with every job for some reason. You know, that we're just not, I'm not sure what's going on there, but we haven't been lucky. So it all depends, but we have a lot of people. Yeah. Pretty good network.
That's good.
So in 7 years, what has been your biggest challenges and what will be?
Yeah, so biggest challenge for a while has been finding deals. That has been a struggle, you know, for the first 3 years. And then we learned how to do direct to seller marketing instead of relying on MLS. So once we got good at that and we realized it's a numbers game, right? The more marketing you make, you know, or you send out, the more leads you're going to get. So we got good at that part. Now the biggest challenge is actually raising capital. We were focused a lot on finding deals that we kind of forgot about focusing on raising capital. So we were getting more deals than, you know, capital. So capital hasn't been supporting it. And we've been spending quite a bit with hard money, you know, as far as hard money lending. So it's not a challenge. It's just something that we are working with and networking with people and kind of getting our name out there. Yeah. Moving forward, again, I don't think capital is going to be a challenge moving forward. I think it's just the market, you know, like the uncertainty in the market. That's a challenge I can't really predict because it's been hot for so long. Like we don't know how it's going to react in 3 to 6 months, right? So that's the only thing.
Yeah, that was my next question is with the shutdown and I guess the uncertainty when people are going to be able to go back to work. If they go back to work, because that's a big question mark.
That's a big question mark.
We don't know what unemployment levels are going to be or employment levels are going to be 6 months from now. We hope it's going to be below 10%, but right now I think it's like 25%. So
crazy.
20% unemployment. Yeah, I think something.
So, but it's pretty high, and I guess, you know, it's a big question mark. And I guess in a business like flipping or real estate, that's got to be some concern.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, no, that's something we think on a daily basis. Because you don't want to buy at a certain price or in a, you know, at a certain market and then sell when the market is down, right? For a while, people have been buying at a price and then prices have been going up. So people got lucky. You know, it's been over 10 years that we've seen this, you know, prices going up. So we just don't want to get stuck with a property and then prices are falling and we're trying to catch the market down. That's not a good environment to be in. So how we're thinking about is, you know, quicker turnaround projects, flips that take less than 6 months. That's what we're focusing on. If we're taking a job or buying a house that needs a lot of work and it's going to take more than 6 months, we are buying them at a huge discount to protect ourselves, you know. That's the only way to do it. So we don't know what's going to happen in 12 months, but I think we have a pretty good idea that, 6 months from now, the worst case scenario maybe will be down 10%, right? The worst case scenario in the Boston market. We can live with that. Our profit margins are at least 15 to 20%. So if we miss on that 10%, prices go down, at least we break even, right? Worst case scenario. So that's how we're thinking about it. Quick turnaround is the name of the game for us, at this point.
Have you been thinking about switch more focus to the buy and hold instead of fix and flip?
Good question. So we are always thinking about buy and hold, so as we do a few flips, we buy a rental, that's our goal. Flipping, it's a full-time job. So that's not why we got started in real estate. So we really got started because of investing in cash flowing assets. And like I said, in order to buy the rentals, we have to do the flips. So that's how we're looking at it. The strategy hasn't changed though. We're still going to continue with flips. We're still going to continue to build ground up new construction. And that's something I'm excited about right now. But the rentals will buy them, continuously. Like we're not going to stop because the market softens, or we're not going to push harder because, for us, it's a constantly, we constantly want to buy rentals if we can get them at the price we want.
So that's kind of an important point you're making here, and I think people would want to understand is you're not just going out there flipping houses. You have another source of, let's call it reliable income, steady income via these rental properties that you have.
Passive income, yeah.
Which is a nice little buffer to have.
Absolutely.
If things go south in the other side of the business, the flipping business.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the rentals is, that's what we are excited about. That's what and I see a lot of people that have been trying to price the market. I have friends that like real estate investing, and they have been sitting on the sidelines for 2 or 3 years thinking that prices were too high. And we've been working, right? We've been working and growing for the past 2 or 3 years and buying either flips or rentals. So it's not, for us, it's not about pricing the market. It's about following the formulas when we buy rentals or flips, because we have a formula we follow for each one of them. It's for the flips is a one, I'm sorry, for the rentals is a 1% rule. For the flips is a 70% rule. So if we get a lead that matches that, we'll buy it, regardless of what's going on. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And then I know you are looking for some investors that can, help you invest in your project. So say if I am a full-time job, I want to invest your project, your fix and flip homes, how I can start.
Is that an opportunity for somebody listening to say, hey, I'd like to invest in this guy, Enis? Is that something that you're open to?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we are, so moving forward, we're going to still work with banks, but we have to work with private lenders too. And the reason why I say we have to is banks, a lot of times it'll take 30 to 45 days, right? That's their turnaround. But we do have opportunities where we have to close in 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
In that case, a private lender might make a lot more sense because we can actually close on the property quicker. Right. Or even if we work with a lender, we still, with a bank, we still need someone like a private lender to come invest with us for the difference, right? It might be for, it's going to be depending on the property specifically, but we would love to combine both a bank and a private lender to raise the capital. But yeah, I'm very interested in, like I said, right now I'm spending quite a bit of time networking with people about raising capital. They can work full-time somewhere else and they can invest passively with us. Because we're going to be the one doing the work. We're going to be the one renovating it, staging it, putting on the market, selling it. They're just going to invest the money with us and wait that 6, 8, 9 months to get paid back, right, with interest. And our interest, we're paying 12% annually, so that definitely it's a good return if we can keep that money working with it.
12%. That's a really high rate. So
I think a bank is a point.
I know. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it is a high rate, but we are happy to do that because we're gonna so the interest, when we run our numbers, we're gonna price it in there. So we'll have to offer less when we buy the house to really make that return for the investor. But yeah, it's a good return. We just gotta keep the money working for them.
And do you have a minimum requirement for how much to invest?
So minimum, we say $50,000, just because we don't want a lot of investors coming in one deal. And obviously, we're buying in the greater Boston market, so we're paying anywhere from, let's say, 200 to 400,000 buying them, right? So yeah, it's expensive. But yeah, we're local, right? They can come to our office. I can sit down with them. It has to be a win-win for both parties, right? I have to understand what they need. And they'll we'll show them as far as like product properties that we got under contract. We can talk to them about the type of returns they're looking for and what they can get from investing with us. But the good thing is they can actually come and walk the property with us, right? If they're local, I'm open to just going, taking a look at the property, and they can come learn from our experience. So yeah,
that's great. So just to clarify, are we talking gold residential here, or is some commercial?
We are only doing residential. However, we call 4+ units commercial, right? So if sometimes we buy rental properties that are a little bit bigger. Like we got one in Charlton right now that we're looking to raise some capital, and it's an 8 unit. So that can be considered commercial, but it's not a commercial building per se, as far as like an office space or industrial, right?
It's a home or a
single family home.
Apartment.
Correct. Exactly right. Single family, 2 family, maybe a 3 family building. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah.
So I guess a few weeks back there was this big push nationwide on not paying your rent. Which I thought was insane.
It is insane. It's still, yeah.
But,
yeah.
But we live in strange times these days, and
I know. I agree.
Just curious. I haven't heard anything since, so I'm assuming that has died off.
Yeah. Well, yes and no. So some people obviously are taking advantage of that. Some tenants. The Massachusetts governor also has that moratorium in place about not for landlords not to do any evictions. That's also a tough one. It's never been done in Mass before.
It's nice to make laws when you don't have any skin in the game, right?
Exactly right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's not easy on landlords. I know quite a few people actually that are struggling with that. Because think about it, a lot of people actually are relying on that cash flow to support themselves.
To pay back to the bank.
They have to pay the bank, so it's
you're
tough.
Impacted too, and you're impacted by this too. So
absolutely. So we are lucky so far with our rental units. Most of them have been paying. I think it's only 2 people that haven't been able to catch up, and we're working with people that can afford rent, but for people to take advantage of it, that's another story.
Right.
So.
Well, good. So I guess the other question I'd have is, what do you think it takes to be, in terms of personality characteristics, would you look for someone to be successful in doing what you're doing? Like what has helped you become successful?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. You gotta be curious about how things work, right. And you gotta be eager to learn. So this was something that 6 years ago we just didn't know anything about, right? As far as like, what is this investing? Like we wanted to invest, we just didn't know how it works. But I'm curious about how things work, so I spent hours and hours online and talking to other people, and like Bigger Pockets back then was a small website, and only a few people were there. Right. I used to spend a lot of time on Bigger Pockets talking to guys and just learning from everybody. Yeah. So you got to be curious, you got to be willing to learn. I've been following other people that are successful in investing for a long time. I've met with them, learned from them. I'm in a couple masterminds right now, and still it's a learning process nonetheless, even today. It's just, so yeah, that's those two characteristics. And I think third, if I have to choose the third one, would be just willing to take a risk, you know.
Take
when-
action. Yeah.
Take action and be willing to take a risk. Put yourself into an uncomfortable environment.
So it sounds like you also spend a lot of time with your contractors, getting to know them and the work they do.
I used to, not anymore. So I brought on board a project manager that has been a blessing on itself. So he's doing most of that right now. I do see contractors here and there. You know, they come here for invoices and things like that. But I'm not on the job site on a daily basis anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say Donald Trump of Massachusetts.
I wish that would be nice. Yeah. Look, Donald Trump started somewhere too, right?
Did. Hey, that's right. Hey, I think he started with 10 million. Now he's 3 billion, 10 billion, depending on what you believe. So
I know, a little bit better position to start with. Yeah.
I guess he did okay too. So.
One more question. If you go back, okay, what one thing you wish you could change? What will be it? One thing you can change could be doing better?
So treating this business as a business, if it makes sense. Instead of a hobby, it's just, treat it as a business right from the get-go. It took us a while to get the office space. It took us a while to really ramp up marketing. It took us a while to bring employees on board. We thought we could do it, everything ourselves. So those things, like if I could do that a little faster, maybe do that in the first year or the second year instead of after 3 years in the business, that's something I'll do, And then ramping up marketing, it took us a while to understand that this is a numbers game, and if you're investing $10,000 in marketing, but you're going to get 20,000 in returns, why not invest? Why not spend more in marketing? So yeah, those things, again, you go through that learning experience and you learn from it, but we should have done it a little sooner. I wish we have jumped all in sooner,
Good.
Very good, yeah.
Well, you sound like you're doing very well. We know Enis. Yeah. And, he's a great guy, and he's always very helpful and very approachable. And
absolutely, yeah. No, I'm happy to connect with everybody, and I'm glad you guys, got me on this call. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
You're going to be a movie star. You're next Trump.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen.
2020. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So I think that's all we have, and
it's very helpful.
We'll be sure to post your information on the website if people want to contact you.
Yeah. And absolutely. We're on social media under White Acre Properties, on Instagram and Facebook, and we have our website. So we're easy to find. Happy to connect with anybody if they need free advice on investing, if they want to jump on board as a lender, happy to talk real estate.
Yeah.
And the meetup, yes. Yeah, the meetup actually is funny. That meetup has grown to about 1,000 members almost, and so we used to get together once a month, and hopefully we'll start doing it again. I mean, it's been about 2 months now since the COVID thing, we haven't met, but it's just all local real estate investors, and we talk real estate and bring in some guest speakers sometime, and it's just great networking,
That's great. That's a great
idea. You got to network. I mean, that's how I got to know you guys. It's you got to network.
Yes,
exactly.
You do. Well, listen, thank you very much for your time, Enis. And
thank you. Thanks, guys. Yeah, no, this was great. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for your time. Bye now.
Anytime.